Did you see the Wall Street Journal headline, blockbuster, breakout news that Joe Biden is slipping?
I did. I did. I didn't find it as breaking as others might, because honestly, the reporting. Look, it's important that people are talking about this behind the scenes, I suppose, and sometimes people who are aligned with him. But we can see it in public all the time. I mean, even just in the written transcript of that Time interview, where he's like, "I'm the greatest there ever was. I can take you too." I mean, there's he's saying wild things frequently, or saying nothing and getting lost in his own head and just sort of stumbling around. We can see it all live.
My favorite part of the Time magazine interview, in terms of this subject, is where the reporter asks him, "Is Netanyahu playing politics with the war?" And the president says, "I'm not going to comment on that. But certainly it looks like Bibi Netanyahu is playing politics." I'm not going to comment on any comments on it immediately thereafter. Okay, I've given my daughter has the keys to the kingdom. She gets to pull the ripcord on both of us when we begin to wander out of the doors at night. Do you have that ripcord responsibility in your family?
I haven't heard about that, but I will check with my dad, and maybe there's some folk music we can play that will signal that we need to be somewhere else.
Because the deal is the old folks don't know that the ripcord needs to be pulled, right?
So we need
Yeah, I mean,
official old people walking music?
Yep.
Life life walking music?
It's not walking music. It's simply transitional music. Time to go to the retired assisted living facility, right?
well, yeah, look, I do think there needs to be awareness around this issue. So I'm glad you're bringing it up, Hugh. There doesn't need to be awareness for my parents right now, who are fit and lovely and very smart. And with it, but someone around the president might want to clue in to this kind of thing.
The Trump verdict, because Bethany Mandel earlier this week, Mary Catherine, told me that you two had been counseling on the import of the Trump verdict, and you're not a Trump fan. Like Guy
I'm not.
Benson, who's not a Trump fan but does the best Trump impersonation I've heard, he too is becoming Trump curious. What say you about this and Bethany's report that you're beginning to think maybe you're going to have to vote for Donald Trump? I'm going to vote for him
I
gladly,
mean,
but I didn't think you
right?
would.
Yeah, I think we're all on a spectrum, and Bethany's always like a little bit ahead of me. Um, so we talk to each other all the time about this. And look, I'm genuinely appalled by what happened in New York. I sort of hoped that good sense would reign at some point, but honestly, the judge made it very hard for good sense to reign in that jury, which was his intent. I still hoped that it wouldn't come to pass because I think it is just a total misuse of the system against Trump because they are so obsessed with taking out this person to protect democracy, quote unquote, that they are willing to do anything to subvert democracy to do it. And for me, that may be more dangerous than voting for someone who is not my favorite person, right? So, and by the way, this isn't the first time. This is like, let's do the three big strikes: Russiagate, misuse of the intelligence community, colluding with the media to make 4 years of nonsense, for which nobody's really paid a price. Two, Hunter Biden laptop, which was obviously real, which is why there's a trial going on in Delaware right now with some of the content from all of that scandal. By the way, Biden tried to stop all that as president, but whatever. And three, this trial. Those are all extremely serious offenses and abuses of power to go after one person because he committed the sin of being the duly elected president of the United States. Because this didn't start post January 6th. This started
No,
post
no, it did
election
not.
of
Note
Donald
to the
Trump.
audience: Mary Catherine has not heard the Bolero 50 Reasons to Be Outraged about the Donald Trump verdict. That's over at my YouTube channel if you want to go and listen to it. Mary Catherine, there are actually 50 reasons to be outraged. Among them are the three that you mentioned. But just drilling down on the trial, what I wanted to know more than there are everyone who has followed it: Andy McCarthy, Jonathan Turley, me, all the lawyers who have followed have different things that outrage them the most. And I have mine. I'm writing it up for the Washington Post. What got you the most about the trial?
I think it's a combo. It's because I thought this wasn't even a real story until I looked deeper into it. I was like, that can't be real. One, the fact that number three at the DOJ got shipped out to join this local prosecution. Seems pretty problematic to me. And number two, that the underlying crime was not specifically named and was this menu of three, but they didn't really know what, which means a defense cannot even prospectively defend itself because it doesn't know what the crime is. That seems like a very clear violation of your basic civil rights.
It is. It's a constitutional problem, and it will be reversed on that. But for me, I never even brought up number three going because a lot of people leave justice for a lot of reasons. Like the number three at justice under Trump left after 1 year to go become the general counsel of Walmart. And so maybe this number three wants an MSNBC show.
Job.
And yeah, he did a good job. He's a superb prosecutor, and he made it up. But here's my number one, and I want to know how you react to this. Juan Merchan donated $35 in contributions of $15 to Joe Biden and two $10 contributions via Act Blue to anti-Trump efforts. There is black letter law in New York. Judges may not make political contributions. They may not do it. He was sanctioned. He received what is known as a caution letter, which is sealed. We don't know what it said. They could have actually pulled him from the bench. They have the authority to do that, but they slapped him on the wrist. Do you think he should have recused himself? That happened in July of 23, by the way.
I think it seems quite obvious he should have recused himself, but you recuse yourself if you're sort of being a good faith actor, right? If you don't want the justice system tarnished by this event. A person like Merchan seems to be one of these people who has decided that no matter how much the system is tarnished, it's worth it to get your guy. And I think for that reason, he thought he was doing the righteous thing by sticking around. He can say, oh, it's only $35. I got my little letter. I've been dealt with. He gave $35 to say something. He was communicating that this is what he believes and this is what he stands behind. And to take that appearance of impropriety and actual impropriety into the courtroom is bad. And it's bad for public trust. And I'm not interested in undermining public trust forevermore because people don't like Donald Trump.
Penultimate question. Do you think he will send Trump to jail?
At this point, I think it would be silly to believe that this will go normally. Like people are like, oh, he won't go to jail because he's a 70-something first-time offender and nonviolent. What has stopped Merchan or any of this process from being outside the ordinary thus far? They'll just tell you this is outside the ordinary because President Trump, right? But I do think that gets us even closer to that very uncomfortable banana republic feeling if they put him in jail. But at this point, I wouldn't be surprised.
Very last question. How do you explain the $300 million? And that's 24 hours old. I haven't gotten a leak from the campaign on what the total is this morning. But yesterday morning, $300 million had come into Trump and either small donors or large donors, at least a million small donors, 30% of whom are new to politics. What does that tell you?
It tells you that, look, once you've banked money from someone, that's a voter, right? If they're going to put their wallet down, their credit card down, that's a voter. So people always ask about the Trump coalition, where's he going to get new voters? It seems like he might have found some. And the Biden DOJ and these Trump derangement syndrome sufferers have helped him do so, right? They're out there. And look, some people are going to be turned off by the label convicted felon, which they're going to slap on him at every turn. They're not going to look into the details of this. Perhaps suburban moms are going to be like, oh, it's a bridge too far for me. But there's a whole other segment that's going to be outraged by this. And some of them are double haters or swing voters as well. And so I don't know how that's going to pan out and which one will be larger. But
I'll listen to more of your analysis with Vic on the next edition of Getting Hammered, the must-listen to morning show for any time in the morning, because your morning show is actually this morning show. But you ought to get Getting Hammered. Follow it. Give it that wonderful 5-star rating. Talk about Mary Katherine and Vic. And thank you, Mary Katherine, for staying a second segment.
Thank you.